Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our webinar, Global Halal Markets, Business Opportunities for All. Welcome, Prof. Timan, Prof. Irwandi, Dr. Emir, Pak Dery, Pak Aldi. My name is Livianti Khairani, and I will be the MC for today. First, I would like to say thank you to everyone here who already make the time to join one of IPMI Case Center's event. Now I will inform the webinar ethic. We kindly request that you would follow the social ethic of a large webinar of everyone's benefit. So please note that this session is recorded. Your audio will be muted. Do not post or write offensive or insensitive content throughout the webinar because the file letters will be removed. At the photo session, please kindly turn on your video, and you can submit your questions for the Q&A session in the chat box on our Zoom room. And for those who need certificate, we will share the form to be filled in the chat box. Now I will introduce Dery Habir, PhD, for the opening speech. He is the director of IPMI Case Center, and we always call him as Pak Dery. Pak Dery, the screen is yours.
Thank you, Livi. Thank you, Arini. On behalf of Professor Dr. Aman Wirakartakusuma, who is our executive director, who unfortunately cannot be here because he is visiting his alma mater in the University of Wisconsin, and he is on the board of their international relations. So he is spending some time over there. Welcome all of you to our talk show, Global Halal Markets. You may wonder why an international business school is talking about halal business management. For us, it is, for some of us, it is pretty obvious, but for maybe a number of you, it may not be, but the halal global business, the halal business sector is a large global market. It is on the value of $2 trillion a year and growing quite fast despite the pandemic. And it's also the kind of business that is appropriate for the future in terms of sustainability and climate change, for example. But I don't need to be too long because we have over here three global leading experts on halal business management. Professor Dr. Irwandi Jaswir, who is in Malaysia. I think he is one of the valuable exports that we have made to Malaysia. We have Dr. Sultan Emir Hidayat from KNEKS, who is also a leading Islamic economic figure in the world. And we also have, finally, but not certainly not least, Professor Dr. Marco Timan from the Netherlands, who is at the moment staying in Malaysia. All of these will be introduced by our moderator. It was, as some of you have seen, it was to be Agus Lukman, who is our Director of Global Partnerships, but he is unfortunately sick. But our moderator will be just as capable, and he's right there, Bapak Feraldi Luis. And just a little bit about, we call him Aldi, and he has a long distinguished career in particular in venture capital, both as a CEO of venture capital companies as well as a consultant to such organizations as IFC and the World Bank. So without further ado, I think we need to get going with our talk show. And so, as they say, Ali, the screen is yours.
Thank you, Pak Dery. Selamat siang, selamat pagi, good morning, good afternoon to some of us. I see we have guests coming all the way from Holland as well as the UK and from Malaysia. A truly international gathering we have here. So welcome all. Assalamualaikum, Om Swastiastu, Nama Budaya, and Salam Sejahtera for us all. So we're going to talk about the opportunities provided by the global halal market today. And we have really three distinguished experts in the fields to talk about this. And what is it actually that we're talking about? Well, for many, Islam is a way of life. Yeah, as you can see in the picture, it's about family, it's about food, it's about fashion, it's about education. But also, Islamic values has universal appeal because it's wholesome, healthy. It's about being animal friendly. It's about self-control. It's also charitable giving. It's all around good values is what Islam is also understood and known. And it touches so many different sectors because it's about food, as I said. It's also in personal care. It's about financing, especially housing financing, education. It's about B2B infrastructure. It touches infrastructure. It touches services and recreation and tourism. Why is it important? Because it's growing. The Islamic economy is growing. There's a lot of young people coming into the economy, the particular economy, and they're affluent, and they want to adhere to the values that they have, and it's all over the world. It's not just in Indonesia, where we have a lot of Muslim, but it's also in the West. It's also in the East. The Japanese and the Korean, for example, tourism industry really has benefited by adopting halal tourism. And we're just starting here in Indonesia. So, and it's continuously growing around the world. So who do we have to talk about? We have three subject experts. And the first one is Associate Professor Dr. Sultan Emir Hidayat, who is Director of Islamic Economics Supporting Ecosystem at the National Committee for Islamic Economy and Finance, or KNEKS. And Professor Emir is an avid writer. He has published quite significant number of research papers in reputable international journals. He is also an associate editor for the journal Islamic Finance, editor of many other journals. He's published books and contributed chapters in many books. He obtained his PhD and MBA in Islamic Banking and Finance from the International Islamic University, Malaysia. He has a bachelor's in management of agribusiness from IPB University. Very busy. Currently, Professor Emir is working is in the working group member of the institutions of sustainable working group, small and medium-sized enterprise and micro enterprise. He's editorial advisor board at IFN Red Money, editorial advisory board at the International Journal of Islamic and Middle Eastern Finance and Management, and editorial advisory board at the Journal of Economics, Cooperation and Development. Very, very busy person. Our second speaker is Professor Dr. Irwandi Jaswir. Like Pak Dery said, one of our notable exports to Malaysia. Also a very busy person, but he is also a prize collector. He was 2018 King Faisal International Prize Laureate, which is something like the Nobel Prize of the Muslim world. He is a professor in food chemistry and biochemistry at the International Islamic University, Malaysia, and received a bachelor degree from the Agricultural University of IPB, master's from University Pertanian Malaysia, and a PhD from University Putra Malaysia, as well as the University of British Columbia. Many awards, including the Indonesian Institute of Science, LIPI, 2019 award, LIPI award, the 2013 recipient in Medicine and Biotechnology of Habibi Award. He is a world-class scientist with 3,282 citations. 2010 Asia Pacific Young Scientist Award from Scopus, and he's had over 200 publications internationally in journal index, 40 books and 7 patents. Like I said, I'm very proud that we exported, but we're going to get him back to Indonesia, yeah. And our third speaker is an avid writer himself and researcher, Professor Dr. Marco Timmen from the Netherlands, who is CEO of LBB International. He has an industrial engineering and management science from the University of Twente from the Netherlands, and a PhD in business management on halal supply chain management from the University Technologi Mara. A researcher par excellence. Where is Professor Timmen? Yes. He's a full professor at ELM Graduate School, Health University in Malaysia. He conducts research in halal procurement, halal supply chain management, and halal risk and reputation management. He's won academic award for his groundbreaking research in halal purchasing and halal supply chain management, and he's also a research fellow with the University Malaya Halal Research Center. A writer and a researcher, and we're going to be able to learn a lot from our three speakers today, ladies and gentlemen. So, what are we going to do? We're going to have a talk show, and in this talk show, there will be these three questions. To start with, I would like to ask maybe Professor Emir, what will be the halal business opportunities post-COVID, Professor Emir?
Thank you, Professor Aldi. In the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, there has been a change in people's preferences and acceptance of digital platforms, as indicated by the expansion of online shopping activities worldwide, including Indonesia. As a result, there are some business opportunities that can be grabbed in the post-pandemic era, which are very much related to digitalization. Among them are, the first one, Islamic digital payment and halal marketplace. As you know, digital payment system that complies with Sharia is one of the strategies also for us in KNIKS to provide convenience to the public and at the same time promoting the halal lifestyle. The use of digital payment system also can increase Islamic financial literacy and inclusion. The available data records that there is a significant increase around 60% in mobile banking transaction among the Islamic banks in Indonesia during the pandemic, during 2020. Therefore, we believe that we should promote the implementation of QR Indonesia standard or QRIS in all sectors of halal industry for digital inclusion, as well as strengthen community-based traditional market through digitalization. Combination of halal marketplace and digital payment system that complies with Sharia, we believe it could promote and strengthen the halal value chain. Second, we see that after or post-COVID-19 pandemic, Ziswaf or Zakat, Infak, Sadaqah, and Wakaf collection and distribution for micro and small enterprises can be one of the opportunities as well. And of course, it is very much related to the digitalization. Digital innovation will be able to integrate Islamic commercial and social finance in order to support economic stability and recovery, which is impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. Optimizing zakah, infak, sadaqah, and wakaf collection and as well distribution through digital transformation that can be channeled for micro and small enterprises empowerment is very crucial, I believe, especially for the sustainability and for the progress of halal industry. Zakah, infak, and sadaqah funds can be used, for example, to provide capital, to give assistance, guidance for micro and small enterprises, especially those who are hit by the pandemic, to recover from the impact of pandemic. And hopefully, those MSMEs owners that are at the moment categorized as mustahik through the zakah, infak, sadaqah funds empowerment, we hope that they can turn into muzaki in the near future. Another business opportunity, I believe, is in Islamic fintech. We have seen during and after pandemic era, the proliferation of P2P financing for halal industry, MSMEs, especially micro and small enterprises. Halal businesses, especially those run by micro and small enterprises, should always be supported by providing access to digital services such as fintech and e-commerce. We should integrate Islamic fintech and Islamic banking digital services in order to serve micro and small enterprises and also those who are categorized as unbankable communities. Inshallah, if we can grasp those opportunities, we believe it can boost not only the halal industry, but also Islamic economy in general, and especially in our country. So that is my response to the first question, Prof. Aldi.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Prof. Emir. What do you, so digitalization, and that's going to make more of an inclusive economy in general, not just Muslim. Thank you. Thank you very much, Prof. Emir. Prof. Irwandi, what can you see all the way from Malaysia? Silakan. We can hear you. Hello.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah, we can hear you well.
Thank you, Paldi, for the questions, and thank you to ITMI Business School for kindly inviting me, Pak Dery, Pak Aman, and all my teacher there. To respond to the questions. Again, yeah, we have to bear in mind that halal industry is a huge industry. It is 3.1 trillion US dollars industry a year. And unfortunately, most of the Muslim countries, including Indonesia with 220 million population, Muslim population, we are yet to become the key players of the global halal industry. So this is an opportunity, it's a huge opportunity to us in all sectors of halal industry. Out of 3.1 trillion US, I think I can say that most of nations that really benefited from the industry is like Australia, New Zealand for meat, halal meat, for example, or halal poultry is dominated by Brazil. Or in Southeast Asia, the country like Thailand, I think is enjoyed very much the cake of 3.1 trillion compared to Indonesia or Malaysia. So to me, whether before pandemic and after pandemic, it's not much different because the halal industry is still new, and the potential is still huge there. Of course, during the pandemic, some of the effects are there. For example, for food and pharmaceutical, there are not much effect of the pandemic to the industry because in whatever situation, people still need food and pharmaceuticals. But of course, of some sectors like tourism, Islamic traveling, and Islamic finance, perhaps they're much affected by the pandemic. But I would like to tell the audience here that it is a chance for us to grab the opportunity. The industry is too big, and we are yet to be there, for some extent. So for Indonesia, for example, we are still busy with the issue of certification for a very long time, and now it's time for us to really build the industry. We have a great potential for halal materials, for example, halal for anything, for food industry, for cosmetic, pharmaceutical, etc. I travel a lot from one country to another. I find that many countries are really keen to get into halal industry. I mean, non-Muslim majority countries. Korea, for example, in Korea, there are more than 2,000 cosmetic factories. Why I know? Because my institute got a branch in Korea. And before pandemic, every 2 months, we went to Korea to educate the industry and then to get the industry to join the halal. Out of 2,000 industry, now they are all encouraged by the government to be halal certified. And then
thank you.
One of the initiative now. Hello?
Yes. Well, thank you, Prof. Irwandi. Yes. So you're saying that
one of the initiative now,
the opportunity is wide open, and it's as good as it was prior to the COVID, is what you're saying. So from food, cosmetics, tourism, and all kinds of different industries, it's wide open, and it's open not only for Muslim but for non-Muslim, as long as you try to adhere to the halal rules. Wow! So that's great. Thank you, Prof. Irwandi. May I move to Professor Timan and ask him the same question? What do you think is the halal business opportunities post-COVID, Professor Timan?
Thank you, Pak Aldi. I would also like to thank IPMI and KNIKS for inviting me for this important talk. And I'm very privileged to stand in the middle of great academics, such as Dr. Emir from KNIKS and also Professor Irwandi from IIUM. I'm very honored to be in the middle of them, and they have a far bigger track record than I do have. So I'm still standing in their shade. So the halal industry, as also mentioned by the other speakers, is a fast-growing industry. Currently, what you still see is that a lot of OIC countries are still very dependent on imports from non-OIC countries, and even for basic food. So therefore, I still would suggest that the halal food industry is still a very important industry to explore, because the OIC countries are still far behind, I think. During the COVID period, what I see in Europe, so I come from Holland, is that they make farming more difficult in the West. So they want to, because of climate change, they want to stop or reduce farming, which results in that there's less food products to export to OIC countries. So I think it's very urgent for OIC countries to boost their production of halal foods. Halal ingredients and additives. We have been talking on that topic already earlier, Prof. Irwandi, over many halal conferences. Halal ingredients and additives is a big important bottleneck, and not only for the food, but also for the cosmetics and pharma industry. So therefore, I think food ingredients and additives, and also ingredients and additives for the pharma and cosmetics, should be very high, I think, on the list for priorities. What we see also that halal moves away from a product approach to a supply chain approach. So therefore, halal logistics, I think, will also be an important sector for the years to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Tiemann. Thank you very much. If I may, Professor Tiemann, while you're still having the mic, let's move to the next question. So you're saying first that the halal logistics and supply chain is going to be important, not just products and services, but supply chain and is going to be important. What about the synergy between the halal industry and the finance, the Islamic finance? What do you think is going to happen after COVID?
Well, I cannot predict everything. If we talk about the halal value chain, and we talk about the primary activities, supporting activities, quality assurance, and halal assurance. And so there are many activities which are relevant, and the halal value chain, I described in my evolution of halal that halal is going through an evolution towards a halal supply chain and halal value chain. And a halal value chain also integrates Islamic finance in here. And so I think that is an important element that we're looking for synergies in between the conventional, the primary activities and supporting activities and Islamic finance. And we have to further develop the Islamic compliant infrastructure, Islamic banking, takaful, corporate wakaf, and also corporate zakat. I think that is important. In my work, also as advisor to companies, I'm also dealing with procurement a lot. So what I often see also that procurement is in charge of contracts in the supply chain, and contracts with various parties in the supply chain, with logistics service provider, distributors, and suppliers. And that I often still notice interest clauses in contracts. So these are also important things which should be made aware. So I think there's a lot of work to be done in the finance space as well. Thank you.
Thank you. So we need to look at how the halal finance can adhere closer to Sharia and NESMA, make it really compliant. Yeah. Dr. Emir, Islamic finance is your field of studies, especially, and although it's not, it is still very much an interest of yours. What what do you think of the synergy between the halal industries and Islamic finance going ahead?
Yeah, the synergy between halal industry and Islamic finance is a must in order to boost the development of Islamic economy, including halal industry. In fact, if we look at the Islamic finance, Islamic financial schemes, Islamic financial instruments and products can only be used to finance halal industry. They are not allowed to finance non-halal industry. Islamic banks will not be able, for example, to finance, for example, the construction of, let's say, plan for liquor, for example, which is considered to be non-halal. So Islamic financial instruments, product, and scheme can only be used to finance halal industry. However, what we have seen at the moment, there are many halal industry players. Their products and services are already halal certified. Unfortunately, their financing are still taken from conventional finance. This is what Professor Tiemann mentioned, that the phase is only has only reached halal supply chain. Yeah, not many countries has reached the halal value chain phase. So therefore, there are efforts made by the governments, including the government of the Republic of Indonesia. And one effort made by the government is, which is the aim to integrate the halal industry and Islamic finance, is through the establishment of halal industrial estates, or in Bahasa Indonesia, we call it Kawasan Industri Halal, KIH. At the moment, Indonesia has 3 halal industrial estates. One in province of Banten, one in province of East Java, another one in the province of Riau Islands. And other 5 halal industrial estates are in the pipeline. Halal industrial estates can be defined as industrial estates designed with system and facilities to develop industries that produce halal products. Later on, Professor Tiemann can elaborate more. And Islamic financial scheme can be used to finance infrastructure development within, or infrastructure development of halal industrial estates. Some other forms of Islamic finance and halal industry integration are, for example, development of Islamic finance schemes, financing scheme and instruments in the form of Sharia public-private partnership scheme, yeah, project-based sukuk, and housing development programs. Expansion of long productive Islamic financing for corporation and infrastructure, encouraging credit enhancement for infrastructure financing, as well as optimizing the financing of government infrastructure projects and sustainable development goals through the Islamic financial schemes, and expanding the global investor base and investment value in the Islamic financial industry. So if we can optimize this thing, inshallah, the synergies between halal industry and Islamic finance will be enhanced in the near future. That's my response to the question, Prof. Aldi.
Thank you, Prof. So it seems that the halal Islamic finance is not limited to certain industry. It can go, it can finance just about any industry except for those industries that are on the negative list, like alcohol, alcohol for consumption, I guess, yeah. But alcohol for medicine would be fine. So you know, Islamic finance can take part in the development of any country and be very productive, like any other financial products or services. Yeah. Okay, Prof. Irwandi, what are your thoughts on the synergy between halal industry and Islamic finance, sir?
Yeah, thank you for the question, Prof. Aldi. As we know that the concept of halal and Thayyiban in Islam is very, very holistic. It is from A to Z, from farm to plate, and from the source of origin till the end products. and it must be halal in all stages of the production and supply chains. So of course, at the moment, if we see that in the halal ecosystem, wherever we go, they have not yet included the halal finance in the supply chain. So the halal value chains and etc. would be coming up. I believe that. Why? Because the halal awareness increases everywhere. Yeah, so the one of the key point in the development of halal ecosystem is that the awareness level of the society. So from our experience in Malaysia, for example, many players asking whether in the halal standard, the Islamic finance will be included or not, meaning that the awareness to include the Islamic finance is already there. The only thing is that we may have to sit together and then discuss what the formula to include halal Islamic finance in the standard. And then all the standard at the moment, including the OIC SMIC standard, halal Islamic finance has not yet been included. So I believe that Islamic finance will be there one day, because we see that the concept of muamalah in Islam, it will include faith, aqidah, and then also ethics, and also one more thing is that the Sharia or Islamic laws. All these three must be there in the muamalah principle in Islam. So if we leave one, for example, the riba aspect, and then we do ikhlas, and then I believe that the halal industry will not sustain very well, because in Islam we have a belief that the concept of what we call is the concept of so let us say this benefiting others is in the Islamic way. So this is hikmah and etc. that need to be included as well. So this is the reason why I believe that Islamic finance will be there one day. Maybe not yet at the moment, but inshallah, in very soon we will see that Islamic finance will be included in all halal standards.
Thank you, Prof. Irwandi. Interesting that you mentioned that. From what I understand, it's like a chain of custody in the supply chain, yeah, where every aspect of the supply chain has to be halal in terms of its financing. Is that what you're saying, Professor Irwandi? Well, what's interesting to me is that the fact that Indonesia is one of the leading country in the supply chain of wood products, where our chain of custody is known and is being copied by other countries, because we have been successful. I wonder if we can learn from that. I mean, we've done it in one industry, the wood industry, where SVLK, System Legal Verifikasi Kayu, yeah, if I'm not mistaken, is adopted in many countries. Actually, a country like China is learning from Indonesia. I wonder if that can be also learned, so that we can copy or do something that can quickly be used in the chain of custody of Islamic finance and Islamic and halal industries in general.
Yes, it's possible, but of course, when we see the halal standard procedure, a lot of things need to be gone through. You know, the steps in the halal production, from the materials and then the processing and the authentications, integrity, and then halal traceability. A lot of issues that perhaps need to be given priority upon the Islamic finance. Because especially for UMKM or SMEs, we had experience when helping the SMEs to get halal certificate, for example. So on top of, we put aside Islamic finance, but even to get the halal certificate is not that easy for them. To ensure the material is halal, and it may take times to adopt the Islamic finance. But I believe that Indonesia will lead this sector, inshallah.
Inshallah, time and money, of course. But I want to connect to what Professor Emir also had said in the beginning. Digitalization is important, and not only it becomes a means to include everyone, but it's also going to be very important in the development of the halal industry, the halal supply chain. So it's all connected, yeah? Thank you, Prof. Irwandi. I wonder if we can move on to the next question, Prof. Irwandi. What do you think are the key issues in sustainability in halal business management?
Yeah, thank you for the questions. To me, at the moment, many when we refer to Muslim nations, Indonesia, for example, the key issues in sustainability in halal business management is that number one is there are three things actually, as I mentioned just now: raw materials and processing and authentication. We have to intensify the research on this three. Number two is the political will that to be there. So in terms of sustainability, this political will is very, very important. And then we can see the result that currently we are ranked number 4, for example, in the global Islamic economy. This is because of political will. It's compared to let's say 2-3 years ago. But the most important thing is that how to develop the halal ecosystem. So these are the key issues. When we see what Malaysia introduced in, let's say, 20-30 years ago, and we see when they started Malaysian ambition to become World Halal Hub, they really integrate all the ministries, all the government agencies in the halal ecosystem. Almost all the ministries Malaysia, there is a unit or division that related to halal, including Ministry of Education, Ministry of Higher Education, Ministry of Research, even Ministry of Foreign Affairs. There is a halal unit there to promote Malaysian product outside. So the key point is halal ecosystem, how strong our halal ecosystem that make our halal industry sustainable. And then number two, of course, we have to shift from certification oriented approach to a more industrial oriented approach. So this is how to make our halal industry would be sustainable. Thank you.
Thank you. So the formation of the halal ecosystem is very important. And maybe we can learn a lot more from our brothers and sisters and neighbors from Malaysia, Prof. Irwandi, from their success, yeah. Professor Timan, may I ask what your thoughts are on the key issues in sustainability and halal business management?
Thank you, Pak Aldi. So I think the main areas for the halal industry to address in the coming years are trying to remove the animal out of the product, meaning that we have to look at, do we need those ingredients and additives animal-based in there? It makes halal a lot easier if there's no animal component in there. So we should put a lot of effort in there. A good book to read is the Green Dean from Ibrahim Abdul Martin, American Muslim, and he wrote about energy from heaven and energy from hell. And energy from heaven is the wind energy and the sun energy. So I think a lot of OIC countries can benefit by using solar energy. So I think on every roof of a logistics center or factory, there should be solar panels. reduction of waste in the supply chain, value chain, and product life cycle, I think will be very important to address. And the use of recycled packaging. And recycled packaging, there's no consensus among the Muslim world on, is it allowed to use recycled packaging for primary packaging, meaning the packaging that is touching the product. We urgently need a global halal standard that allows the use of recycled packaging. So the biggest challenges, I think, for OSCE countries in addressing sustainability will be the high dependence on the oil and gas sector for a lot of OIC countries, and particularly in the Middle East, high dependence on food imports, and also, as mentioned by Dr. Emir and Prof. Irwandi, there is the need for a halal ecosystem. And in my book, Halal Business Management, I talk about economies of change, which is the search of new opportunities by linking supply chains to other ecological fitting supply chains and clusters. So which increases the business value chain significantly. So for example, the coffee chain, after making the coffee, you have the coffee grounds, and that can be used perfectly to grow mushrooms. And the waste from mushrooms is a very good ingredient for animal feed. So we can link the coffee to the mushroom, to the animal feed supply chain, and that gives beyond very high profits, beyond otherwise possible. And so we have to look at supply chains and clusters differently. So I'm very pleased that the Indonesian government sees the development of those halal ecosystem as crucial. A modern halal valley, I have been personally involved from day one. That is one of the examples where we create a complete halal cluster. And that is a good example, I think, which should be copied to other locations in Indonesia and other parts of the world. And we have to link those clusters together because we need to create those synergy advantages in the Muslim world, which is so important. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Tiemann. A lot to think about, but also it links to the circular economy and thinking differently about energy, about the reuse of what is waste in one industry or one consumer to become the input for others. I think that those values are actually universal, and it's very, very appropriate to what we need and from a global perspective, isn't it, Professor Tiemann? Thank you very much. Professor Emir, I would like very much to hear what your thoughts on the sustainability issue in halal business management, and maybe also from the perspective of the Indonesian government. Thank you, Professor Emir.
Yeah, thank you, Prof. Aldi. I think both Professor Tiemann and Professor Jaswir have comprehensively mentioned about some issues in the global halal business management. So probably my role here is to add some issues related to the context of Indonesia. In Indonesia, there are several issues related to halal business management, such as, even though it is highlighted by Prof. Irwandi to be one of the problems that hinder the development of halal industry. However, since there is a mandate given by the Halal Assurance Act 2014, in which all products and services in Indonesia must be certified, halal certified. Therefore, halal certification, there are still issues related to halal certification. There are still issues related to upstream sector of halal industry. There are still several issues related to industrialization of halal products, human resources within halal industry, and also several issues related to promoting halal as business reputation. However, the government of Indonesia, which includes the committee, the National Committee for Islamic Economy and Finance, KNIKS, along with other stakeholders, have tried and to come out with several policies and programs in order to tackle those issues. For example, issues related to halal certification, the government is fully committed to support a wider and massive halal certification process through charging ₹0 tariff, especially for micro and small enterprises. The government is also committed in strengthening the business process of Halal Product Assurance Agency, or in Indonesia we call it BPJPH. And then we are also committed to expand the number and capacity of halal inspection agencies, or LPH, in Indonesia. In the past, we used to have only one halal inspection agency. At the moment, we already have 3 halal inspection agencies. As well as we want to strengthen the digitalization of National Halal Product Assurance System. With the issues related to the upstream sector of the halal industry, there are several efforts to strengthen the upstream sector of the halal industry. The halal upstream sector needs to be built strongly in order to create a strong and sustainable halal industry in the future. For example, modernization of halal slaughtering houses will be carried out together with provincial and regional government, or we call it pemerintah daerah or Pemda, in order to ensure the availability of halal meat products for further processing. The third one, issues related to industrialization of halal products. The halal product industry, as a significant part of Indonesia's industrial resilience, will be developed in a structured and progressive manner through the first one, the construction of clusters and halal industrial estates, as I have explained earlier, import substitution and improvement of the global value chain through strengthening the export of halal products, and the initiation of the global halal traceability, encouraging blockchain-based halal traceability and tracking system in order to improve trust and transparency of halal assurance system. Number 4, issues related to human resource development. The government is aware actually of the importance of human resource development in order to accelerate the implementation of halal business management in the country. The development of human resources includes but not limited to, for example, increase the number of professionals related to the halal certification process, such as halal auditors and halal supervisors, which are very much needed to boost the halal industry, and also to provide better understanding and enhance the awareness of the public related to halal industry through general education system, for example, through halal business module in the business or management programs. And the last one, how to promote halal as a business reputation. We can learn from several companies as a lesson learned, both from national and multinational companies that successfully bring halal as business reputation, such as, for example, we know in Indonesia, Paragon Technology and Innovation, maybe slightly promotion, but I don't intend to promote actually. And for example, with its Wardah brand and various other brands, they have successfully helped the company to become the leader in the Indonesian cosmetic industry. Another good example is Unilever Indonesia, which has emerged as the first multinational company in the country that is committed to implement the program Indonesia as a Muslim Center of Excellence for Unilever's worldwide market. So if we can tackle these issues, we believe that inshallah halal industry in Indonesia will grow significantly in the near future. Thank you, Pak Aldi.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Prof. Emir. It seems that the government is supporting the effort of the business community because it seems also that the customer wants it, yeah, and the government is just supporting to fulfill those needs. What's interesting, we have some questions coming from the audience, and some really good questions. And I want to point first one from Pak Sanchoyo Antarikso. You just mentioned a former company where Pak Sanchoyo was. He was formerly a director of Unilever, and currently Pak Sanchoyo is chairman of Perkosmi. Another nice thing that you mentioned Wardah. And the question is, no doubt that the opportunity provided by the global halal market is humongous. However, we have not agreed on a global halal standard, common standard that is used by the accreditation bodies around the world to certify products and services. I think this is very important. If we would like to materialize the opportunity, the question is it possible? If yes, how do we do it? Who should start and how to enforce? Maybe one of you can answer, Prof. Irwandi or Prof. Emir or Prof. Timan.
Yeah, I try to answer, to respond to. Thank you for Sanchoyo. Yes, I think it's one of the problem now in the world is that we do not have one single global halal standard yet. Yeah, and then I think a couple of months ago I wrote this on the Jakarta Post, how to harmonize the halal standard. So the harmonizing halal standards is one of the issues nowadays. Whether we agreed or not to have one single standard worldwide or not, I think this depends on, but at least we have to recognize other standard. As long as that standard is developed by a reputable Muslim association, the standards or by the country government, and then we have to accept that. Yeah. So I do not see why we cannot accept the global halal standard, but whatever it is, at least we have to recognize as a standard. The problem is that if one country already has given this halal certificate to one product, for example, and then other countries need to accept this. This is what sometimes at the moment is not happening. I got this experience when my friend from Korea, our clients, got a halal certificate for the cosmetic product from Malaysia. And then when she would like to export the product to another country, and then the new country also requested a new halal certificate. It is bear cost to the company. Yeah. So to me, and then also what OIC and other certification bodies doing at the moment is trying to harmonize those standards. So harmonizing means you recognize other standards. We may not have one single standard like ISO, for example, but we at least we need to recognize the standard from other certification body. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Irwandi. I hope that answers your question, Pak Sanjoyo, or maybe Prof. Emir and Prof. Timan have additional thoughts on this.
Yeah, probably in addition to what it has been mentioned by Professor Jaswir, at the moment, we are in the second round of negotiation for the Indonesia United Arab Emirates Comprehensive Economic Cooperation Agreement. So, and Alhamdulillah, one of the chapters in the draft still, in the draft is about halal industry, and this is a good way actually to mutually recognize the standards between countries. And this model, if we can replicate to other countries, to have such international, comprehensive economic agreement with other countries, it will be a good way to harmonize what it has been mentioned by Professor Jaswir regarding halal standard at the international level. So that's my additional point, Prof. Aldi.
Thank you.
Maybe a small addition. Regarding harmonization is the existing standards, which are mainly food production standards, in food, slaughtering, cosmetics. These are already established standards in most countries. So for established standards, you can harmonize. What I would recommend, however, for new standards, such as halal supply chain, halal value chain standard, and halal recycled packaging standard, that these are international standards. So instead that everybody creates his own standard again for halal supply chain, halal value chain, and halal recycled packaging, for those new standards, please, let's create an international one straight away. And that can be done through the OIC SMIC organization. Thank you.
Thank you. And if we start that soon, it's an opportunity to lead in creating those standards, it seems, Professor Tiemann. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, exactly. So you can, there's new standards. I mean, instead of reinventing it by every country, it's better to coordinate it globally at OIC level from day one. Thank you.
Thank you. I have another question that is echoed by several people who questions the same thing. This comes from Lina Aulana, and she asks how to create a halal ecosystem, starting from raw material production to distribution. Currently, the application of halal is more concerned with the product, not the distribution. Is there any institution halal that concerns to distribution halal the distribution of halal products?
So yeah, the halal supply chain is what you're asking is how to set up a halal supply chain. So the brand owner is responsible for establishing their own supply chains. If you're a manufacturer of food, you have to establish your food supply chain from your supplier to you, from your factory to your transporter, to your distributor, to retail. So it is the brand owner responsibility to organize the supply chain. And so as a company, you have to establish a halal assurance system, not only for your factory, but also for your procurement and your sourcing and your distribution. So your halal assurance system should go beyond your production, should also include procurement and also should include distribution. What the beauty is of working from an advanced ecosystem such as Modern Halal Valley in Banten is that halal can be simplified if you are physically together in a halal park. And so that is the advantage of a halal ecosystem, and that's why the Indonesian government wants to establish the advanced halal ecosystem to simplify a halal supply chain, as well as the next stage, halal value chain also for brand owners. Thank you.
Thank you. Here's a question that is relevant to supply chain, but also relevant to sustainability. And it's addressed to Dr. Tiemann, but I'm thinking that Professor Jaswir as well as Professor Emir can also add to this. So I read, I assume that the global halal market concept, halal ecosystem or paradigm should be included as basic philosophy and Tayyid paradigm as technical basic for hygienic and safe products. In current world economic condition during COVID-19 era, is it possible to put new preference of global halal market as new paradigm of sustainable development? So can the global halal market paradigm be part of the sustainable development? And I'm assuming this is part of the UN sustainable development, yeah? If yes, how important halal industry will play the roles in successful story of sustainable, the sustainable development goals. Point 3, to ensure good health and well-being for all at every stage of life. And this is from Arina Pril from Universitas Sriwijaya Palembang. Yes, go ahead, Professor Jaswir.
Yeah, I agree that actually halal industry is in line with when we talk about the SDGs, and since out of 17 SDGs, for example, we may say that majority of the SDGs are relevant to the halal. We talk about no poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, etc., is very much related to halal, because the philosophy of halal and tayyiban are here in the SDG. The problem is that when we talk about the implementation, the integrity, and then when we do the audit, for example, a lot of hanky-panky and those things, which is not yet implemented, really well implemented in reality. So this is what I see from our experience when we do a site audit in the industry itself. So to me, the next is that the concept of integrity must be strengthened. So integrity, the fundamental of halal actually is integrity. It's no point to talk about the 3.1 trillion business, but the integrity, the concept, the religious integrity that brought by the word halal is not there. So I would say that the concept of integrity is needed yet to be strengthened. Thank you.
Prof. Emir, you have something to add?
Yeah, when we talk about Islamic economy and finance and SDGs, as it has been mentioned by Professor Jaswir, they are very much in line. In fact, the basis for Islamic economy and finance is the Maqasidus Sharia. And if we talk about, for example, the ecosystem, the Islamic economic and financial ecosystem that we want to establish in Indonesia, it is very much aimed actually to enhance people's welfare, the society's welfare. Based on our master plan, the master plan of Islamic economy and finance, the vision of Islamic economy in Indonesia is to create prosperous, civilized, and independent Indonesia through becoming the world's global Islamic economy hub. And then for that reason, unfortunately, I'm not able to share my slide here. But always in my presentation, I always present about the ecosystem of Islamic economy and finance in Indonesia, in which we started from how to improve the welfare of people who are categorized as mustahiq or recipients of zakah, which are among them the fuqara and the masakin, the needy and the poor. And through, of course, optimization of social finance, Islamic social finance, namely zakah, infaq, sadaqah, and awqaf. So if they are empowered and they can start their businesses, of course, to start with the ultra micro business, then the government still can help them through subsidized financing. In Indonesia, we call it kur syariah, based on using fiqh muamalah akad. And then when they are empowered and to become stronger, they are assisted by blended finance through Islamic microfinance institution. In Indonesia, we have Baitul Mal wa Tamwil that combines between Islamic social activity and commercial activity under one platform. Baitul Mal is for social, Baitul Tamwil is for commercial, and there are around 5,000 Baitul Mal wa Tamwil in Indonesia in the form of Islamic cooperative. And also we have OJK program, which is called Wakaf Microbank, giving financing facilities for the micro enterprises with very low profit margin. And then once they are empowered and they become bankable, the commercial Islamic commercial finance will take place in the form of in the beginning it will be Islamic rural banks, or in Indonesia we call it BPRS. And then once they become more bankable, the Islamic banks, Islamic commercial bank, or the Islamic windows of conventional bank will take care of them. And once they become bigger, then they can use the mechanism of Islamic capital market through listing their share or issuing sukuk. All of them, for sure, they are halal industrial players. So for that, we need to prepare also the infrastructure for halal industry in the form of halal industrial zones or parks or estates, halal laboratories, and then also halal pots, and to ensure from input until the distribution, all the halal supply chains are there, yeah, are ensured. And in order to fulfill the demand from domestic and also the, global, and supported by the community and strengthened by strong human resource research, yeah, where we are also finding the substitute for Professor Irwandi, is involved in this project, yeah, identifying many critical ingredients, yeah, that need to be replaced, yeah, and substitute, and locally based, yeah. And also, of course, Professor Tiemann also mentioned that to substitute the meat based ingredients with, for example, plant based. This is now we are doing in our research division in KNIKS, try to create this, also with the help of our two gentlemen here, for sure. And then we need to harmonize also regulation related to Islamic economy and finance, and also digital technology, as well as improving the awareness and consumer protection. If all these things can be in place, then the ecosystem of Islamic economy and finance will be there, and it will, inshallah, improve the welfare of the people. That's my response. Sorry for taking a bit long time.
No, thank you. Inshallah, well, your thoughts will be realized little by little by all of us working together in and doing our part, inshallah, Professor Amir. But that said, I also want to invite. We have so many questions coming, and unfortunately we don't have that much time. But I would like to invite the participants here to do two things. One, there is a book coming out that I would like Professor Tiemann to introduce, a book that he has just finished written, just published. But also at IBMI, we are going to have what we call master classes. Those are subjects of halal business management in 3-hour master classes, and in those master classes is going to include time for networking between the participants as well as the facilitator, and so that we together can learn a lot more from each other. So if I may, Professor Tiemann, would you be so kind as to introduce us your book and the masterclass that we'll be having together?
Thank you, Prof. Aldi. I've been writing a book on halal business management, a guide to achieving halal excellence, where I will be covering the topics of halal certification, halal supply chain, halal branding and marketing, and halal risk and reputation management. So I have prepared a presentation that gives more insight into the philosophy also of halal excellence, and also some insight into the masterclass, which we will be having already from next month onwards. So I would invite everybody to join this masterclass. I will put my slides on. So I will be covering the topic of the evolution of halal, as also mentioned earlier in our discussion. What is the halal excellence philosophy? So why is it so important? What is it about, which is the core of halal business management? And I would like to share with you also the masterclass program and the IBMI, which we'll be offering online. So the evolution of halal. So it's good to understand that halal is not static. It is moving towards a halal supply chain and value chain. And in halal supply chain, but also highlighted by Professor Irwandi, what he said, that halal supply chain will be around the corner. So my expectations is already that the halal supply chain will be required probably even by law, by 2024 or 2025. So if you are a participant, a brand owner, serving halal markets like Indonesia and Malaysia, you really have to prepare yourself for the halal supply chain. In fact, if you look at the countries, at what level are they? Indonesia, Malaysia, and Turkey are already at level 3, the halal supply chain, where there is also halal addressed through the current halal standard in Indonesia, the HAS 23000, where halal and non-halal need to be segregated to avoid cross-contamination. So a lot of countries are already at stage 3 of the halal supply chain. So if you are as a brand owner still in stage 2, there's a gap which is risky in order to protect your license to operate and corporate reputation. The halal value chain, which also integrates the Islamic side where we talk about, is still future music. It might be 10 years away from here regarding regulation that it is mandatory. But although the regulation might be a long time away, a lot of leading brand owners would like to incorporate already various components of the halal value chain into their business. So the halal supply chain is about extending halal integrity beyond your factory, beyond your restaurant, into the entire supply chain, where there is an international standard and an OIC SMIC 17 standard introduced in November last year. So there is an international standard for halal supply chain which you can use. The halal value chain is still future music. In my research, I looked at components which are important to address when developing a halal supply chain. They are financial related, but also HR, R&D, procurement, branding and marketing, and also elements like halal risk and reputation management. So these topics will be extremely important in the years to come. What is halal excellence about? Halal excellence is a process. It's not a journey, it's a process. It's hard work. It's a pursuit of excellence, also known in Islam as ihsan. So when we talk about the halal excellence, what is the purpose? It's about what we learn from the Holy Quran. Eat, in chapter 2, verses 168, eat what is on earth, halal and tayyib. So it's about serving humanity with products as well as services that are lawful, good, wholesome. And so that is the purpose of halal excellence. There are a few important components when you want to embrace the halal excellence philosophy. First of all, there should be no compromises on inputs. So the ingredients you're using for your product, the equipment you use, and also the people. They need to be well-skilled, top quality. Halal is also about processes. So if you read the Indonesian halal standard, the HAS 23000, it's a process standard. Also, supply chains are about processes. So halal is all about processes which require process excellence. And I call that excellence by design. Processes need to be excellent, they need to be correct, they need to be consistent, they need to be complete, and they need to be clear to everybody. That applies to the halal assurance system, to the halal supply chain, but also the entire halal value chain. Similar to sports, and when you play music, practice makes perfect. So when you have a halal assurance system, when you have all the documentation in risk and reputation management, you have to practice those blueprints in order to achieve the level of excellence. You also need to have an effective management of your halal supply chain and your corporate reputation as a brand owner. And the only way to achieve this is that you develop key performance indicators. So you need to define proper key performance indicators in your supply chain, as well as in your risk and reputation management. So you need to develop proper KPIs. You also need to have a great team. So not only the people in your company, but as halal is moving towards a supply chain, You also need to have great people with your suppliers. You need to have great people as your logistics service provider. And you need to have great people as your distributor. Also, you might be critical also to talk to whom am I selling my products to which retailers or which e-commerce platforms I'm using. Are they able to protect the halal integrity, which I've been working so hard on as a brand owner? It's also important to connect with Muslim communities. So if you're serving the Indonesian market, connect with Muslim communities also in the Indonesian market. If you're serving the Middle East, if you're serving Malaysia, also connect with those consumers there to better understand what are the needs and how can you solve the daily needs and problems they are having to get a better match between the producer, yourself as a brand owner, and also the consumer. Finally, as also highlighted by Dr. Emir and Prof. Irwandi, is that sustainability will be an important component for the years to come. So luckily, Islam teaches about protecting the planet. So we need to find the right balance between production, looking at profit, and also how we use the natural resources of the environment. So we need to find the right balance, also known as mizan. So these are important aspects which you also will be teaching in the masterclass. So what are the aims of that Halal Business Management Masterclass? So the aim of this program is to provide practical strategies to help you as entrepreneur, to help you as owner of the company or senior management or employee of a company, to further develop the halal industry to the next level, to develop a halal supply chain approach to halal, and to develop a halal value chain approach. So we're looking at how best to organize and meet the requirements of Muslim markets. So it is about the topics we will be covering are halal supply chain, halal logistics and retailing, halal purchasing, halal branding and marketing, and halal risk and reputation management. So those will be the key topics educated through the masterclass, which allows you to better organize your supply chain and value chain as a company, protecting your license to operate and also your corporate reputation. So what are the learning outcomes for you when joining this course? So we will teach you what are the challenges and issues for the sustainable operation of halal businesses, and using the halal business management theories and practices. Also, we learn you how to design appropriate business processes in order to better protect the halal integrity of an end-to-end halal supply chain. We also will be addressing how to create branding and marketing strategies when doing business with Muslim majority markets, but also non-Muslim countries where halal sometimes is very sensitive. Finally, we also will be looking at developing business strategies, how to enhance your corporate halal risk and reputation management as an organization, because risk and reputation management will be extremely important when we're talking about the halal supply chain, as well as a halal value chain. So when we will be starting, so this shows an overview of the date. So we will be starting next month on the 1st of December, first on the topic of halal certification, where we talk about the world of halal, but also the halal assurance system. Then we will be covering on the 8th of December the halal supply chain management, talking about models and concepts in halal supply chain management. The week after, we will be covering on 15 December more about halal logistics. We will be covering transportation, warehousing, terminal, as well as the halal retail operations, including e-commerce. On the 22nd of December, we will be covering purchasing, where we will be looking at the procurement strategies as well as the purchasing process. Next year, on the 12th of January, And we look forward seeing you to be talking about the topic of halal branding and marketing. And the final session will be on 19th of January, which will be covering two topics, halal risk management, as well as halal reputation management. And so these sessions will be held via Zoom, online, so easier for you, people in Indonesia, Malaysia, in the Middle East, or even Europe, where they can attend those classes at 7 o'clock Jakarta time for a 3-hour session. And I look forward to seeing you there. So for more information, you can go to this website. So you can also use your handphone to go to that website through this code. And I look forward to meeting you there. I think this is an important course. I think if you are in business, if you are in the halal industry, to prepare your organization for the next level. Thank you very much. I'll pass it back to Pak Aldi. Thank you.
You're muted.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Professor Tiemann. We will be posting in the chat the links for you to get more information on the masterclass as well as the book. I've received requests also for a copy of the presentation just now of Professor Tiemann, so you can click on that and you can put in your information to request for that. There is also a link for a certificate. So please fill in the forms that we have provided, and by clicking in the links that we are providing. And if you can just put up your presentation again, Prof. Tiemann, on the last page. Those are the QR code for those links that I just mentioned. Okay, there you go. Those are the QR codes. If that's easier for you, or you can click on the chat. Now, one thing that we want to also inform you, in the masterclass, we will have a networking session. We understand that this is something new. I mean, the halal industry and developing your capability to become halal excellent, as Professor Tiemann puts it, and networking among you would be important. So we're going to give that opportunity for you to meet and greet and exchange information, exchange business cards, as well as to connect with each other. So we hope to see you in the masterclass, and we hope to be able to exchange information as well as experience, because that's something that we need to do so that we can quickly, as many of you ask, how do we build this ecosystem? We build the ecosystem by working together, by exchanging information. And I think this is a great opportunity to do so. Thank you very much for your participation.
Here we are, a place for you to learn, find solutions, and develop knowledge and skills in business and management. We provide you with the methodology of case study prevalent in the academic and business world. So if you want to be fast, sharp, and relevant in business management, believe in yourself, believe in us, because now is your time.